Welcome to podcast number 24 with your boy Angelo. Yeah, I don't believe it either. Let's kick this thing off by me updating y'all. Feel like today's a big day. Finally got that HBO Max. It's a little frustrating it took this long. I don't know why Amazon and HBO couldn't figure that shit out together. It's like they both have so much money that giving up slightly a little bit so that the other one makes a little bit more money, we can't have that. Go fuck yourselves. But I'm happy it's there. I was looking. I added like 30 things to a watch list. I still have watch lists on every streaming service I use, so I honestly could break my back and be bedridden for a year without moving and shitting in diapers and catheters and having a very sexy Jamaican nurse coming in and washing me every day. And I think I'd still probably not make it through everything that are on my combined watch lists. Anyhow, it's Thursday as I'm recording this. I'm watching the Seahawks-Arizona game. I don't know what happened to my Seahawks, but Russell Wilson looks like one of the worst quarterbacks in the league the last couple of weeks. But maybe it's because we've been spoiled for so long watching this Hall of Famer, and now that he's having a little bit of a tough streak, we immediately want to write him off. But I'm sure he's still like a top 5 quarterback, but he's no longer the MVP. And, Tyler Lockett just made a nice play. But, yeah, so if I get distracted during this podcast, it's probably because the Hawks and the Cards are playing a very important game. It's a 3-way tie in our division. I still can't believe Arizona beat Buffalo with that Hail Mary. I love Buffalo. I've established that. But holy shit, that Hail Mary was amazing. And I wish the Cardinals weren't in our division. I wish they were in like the NFC South or some shit, but they're in our division, so I got to root against them. But anyway, let's keep diving in. I think we need to jumpstart the relationship conversation. I think I'm covering a couple of relationships there. Oh, but before I do, I did finish Better Things. Cried my ass off, but that show makes me cry a lot. I'm trying to start The Queen's Gambit on Netflix. I've been wanting to watch it for like 5 nights, and I never get to it. I don't know why. Still watching Catastrophe. The latest episode of Fargo was a good one. A little artsy-fartsy, but I dug it. I like what they tried doing. And yeah, I'm pretty excited for HBO Max and The Queen's Gambit. Gamble or Gambit? One of the two. But anyway, let's move on. Let's dive in here, baby. Okay, I think I left off after the initial kind of not blind dates, but the initial kind of first wave of online dating I did. Kind of left it, let me adjust the mic here, kind of left it after the catfishing with the older woman and then the woman I worked with. And so, you notice I had to take a deep breath because these next two were doozies, but really just the one. Oh, nice, DK Metcalf, touchdown. Yeah, baby. I went out and bought a DK Metcalf jersey, knowing he was going to be money. And fucking A, was I right, Kind of feel the same way about Kyle Lewis. I think I got to get his jersey. He looks like the real deal. Anyhow, what was I talking about? I knew this was going to happen. I'm going to get sidetracked by this game, but what are you going to do? I think I could do 2 at once. Why not, I'm a, a Renaissance man. Sorry, excuse me. Also smoking pot and drinking water, so doing everything, baby. So yeah, the first kind of relationship that I had online dating, and I say kind of a relationship because we were only talking to one another, only seeing one another for about a month. And then we kind of just stopped talking. It was the one of the few mutual kind of endings of things. But we never called ourselves boyfriend or girlfriend or, any labels like that. She was Latin. I believe Guatemalan, if I'm not mistaken. Guatemalan, does that sound right? Something with a G. But she definitely was Latin. A Latina, if you will. I met her on the same dating app as I met the others, Hinge. Met at the bowling alley in Tukwila, Acme Bowl, I think, which was cool, back when you could do those kinds of things. Now thinking about it, it just makes you feel COVID-y and dirty. Ugh, putting your bowling shoes where like thousands of people have worn those shoes and sticking your fingers in giant fucking balls that haven't been cleaned and ugh, God only knows what was in that food, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, but it was a fun time, She had a very good personality, very bubbly, but she kind of had a very dry, sarcastic sense of humor. But we like the same kind of music and movies and television, and we both like busting each other's balls. And the date went well, We got a little tuned up, started bowling well. We started, bumping shoulders and touching hips and stuff. And I reached out and she reached out, and I was like, all right, baby, it's reciprocal, or it's reciprocated. And we went outside, we kept talking, and I just went for it. And then we kind of bumped and grinded a little bit on the car. I picked her up because she was a shorter girl than I've ever dated. She must have only been like 5'2", and I've never been with a girl that's been that short before. Which I don't care how tall you are. Who gives a fuck? I would date a 8-foot Amazon if I could. I don't give a hell. I'd climb that mountain every goddamn night if I had to. Although I think I would rather have a tall woman than a really short woman. I guess I should rephrase. If I had to pick two ends of the spectrum, really tall or really short, I'd have to take the tall. I'm not sure if I could ever be truly comfortably intimate with a woman who's like, 3 inches tall. Or 3... I meant 3 feet tall. Oh, God. Like, I don't know what I know midget is not a good word anymore, but forgive me for the sake of this little convo here. I'm going to say midget. I would be okay with most midgets, I feel, but they have to be in the 4-foot range. High 3, maybe. But once you're getting to be like 3.5 feet and below, I don't know. You gotta have a real good personality on that one. So, and yeah, I feel like I could date a 7'7" woman from like Iceland or some shit. I don't care about that stuff. But anyway, what the hell were we talking about? Oh yeah, so this girl was slightly shorter than any girl I've ever been with like that. So we made out a lot. We didn't really do much because we were outside a bowling alley and there were some teenagers watching us from the parking lot. We were like, Jesus, how old are we? So we decided to exchange phone numbers. She was actually heading to California for something. I don't remember what. And so I said, okay, let's keep in touch. So she was in California for about a week after that. And so, yeah, that's exactly what we did. We kept texting a couple times a day. And then she came back and we went to Tukwila again. But this time, I don't remember the restaurant, but it was at the Landing. And so we went there, and we were a little bit more nervous because it was, we saw each other, we kind of hit it off, and then like a week or so later, we kind of have to start all over again. And I decided, we kind of took it slow. We didn't kiss or anything. We kind of hugged. Did we kiss? I don't remember if we kissed. I know we were walking in the parking garage together, and I didn't know if I could go in for just, I didn't know if I could assume a kiss was coming. I didn't want to do that to her. So I kind of just went in for a hug, and maybe there was a kiss. I honestly don't remember. But the third date, and after that, it was all pretty good. So we had a fun time. We watched that entire miniseries on HBO, Pretty Little Lies or Tiny Little Lies. The one with Nicole Kidman and Reese Witherspoon and Kravitz and Shailene Woodley. And, that cast was good. That was a fun show. It was a fun show. A little over the top. I hated all of the characters. All of them. Not one redeeming character, men or women. Even the kids, I was like, if they drowned, I wouldn't care. So, actually, the only character I did kind of like was Reese Witherspoon's husband, the guy that was on Parks and Rec. What the hell is his name? And he was in Step Brothers. I'm usually better with names than this, but who knows? Well, here we go, 3rd and 2, baby. You got it, Seattle. And so, that was a fun show. But mostly, our dates were at my house, watching TV, watching movies, chit-chatting, the occasional fooling around, but it was good. She had season tickets through her work for the Seattle Mariner game, so she took me to the one game near the end of our relationship, and that's when you could tell. I could tell that was kind of the ending of things, was at that Mariner game, because we didn't talk that much, there wasn't a lot of physical stuff, it was very boring, and I brought it up, and she was tired and stressed, and that was one thing. She was always stressed and tired about work. Always willing to, I don't want to say complain, because a lot of her complaints were warranted, but, after a while it gets a little tiresome. That's only what you want to talk about, is how bad work is and how you hate your coworkers, and specifically these ones. And, you can only listen to that so much before you're like, if you hate the job so much, get the fuck out. But no. But the one very interesting thing that I will always remember from this relationship is she was not a lot younger than me. I think she was 26 and I was 31. And was I 31? How old am I? 34? I may have been 32. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But she was technically a Gen Z, I believe. She's the oldest of the Gen Z. I don't fucking know. I don't know why this is important. The only thing is, she said that someday she doesn't feel like she wanted a gender. And that was the first kind of experience with the whole genderless identity thing. And here's my 2 cents about that whole thing. I don't really give a fuck what you want to be called. I don't. They, them, they, he, they, be, any consonant before the letter E, I could give a fuck. I think it's strange and people are like, oh, I'm not male or female or planetary. I'm like cosmic or a time traveler thing. I'm just like, okay, you're just looking for attention. Oh, cool the fuck out. And I'm a big fan of switching the term transsexual to transgender because transsexual, I've been told and I agree with, implies a sexual orientation, which is not always the case. Actually, it's that's why the term transgender is more appropriate, and I concur. And so that's what I've asked her. I said, well, what does that mean? She's like, well, some days I wake up and I don't really want to be called a gender because I feel like that's going to affect my day in a negative way. And I already feel depressed when I wake up. And I had my own theories. I didn't tell her this, but when people tell me things like that, and she's not the first or maybe not the last, has told me something like that. If you wake up sad or depressed or anxious, you don't want to be genderized because then you have these certain obligations society puts on you and you're dealing with your own shit. You don't want to have to deal with unwanted baggage. But I can see that. I can empathize. I really can. And again, I don't give two fucks about this. But my opinion is I think you're just depressed or sad and you want to blame it on something. And I could be wrong. I could be an asshole. Whatever. That's my opinion. I think once you work on yourself in terms of your depression, your anxiety, if your job is making you that sad, fucking quit. Nothing's worth it, even not even money. If you're depressed about your own personal life, maybe check out looking into how to better yourself in ways that you can or are able to. But just trying to blame it on something, that's where it gets a little stretch. But like I said, after that, after the Mariner game, we kind of just stopped hanging out and talking. And the bookend on this one is just a couple weeks ago in Burien. I was at a bakery out there with my old man. Sure enough, she was there with a bunch of her, turned out to be coworkers. We made eye contact, but we really couldn't figure if it was each other because we had masks on. So then like a day later, I messaged her on Instagram if that was her. And she said, yeah, I thought that was you and so forth. And so we chit-chatted a little bit after that, but it was more just, hey, what you been up to? There was no... hey, let's rekindle things because, it was a mutual moving on. I didn't see a lot of long term there. I don't think she did either. I think we had fun. So I'm not going to complain. It was a nice little fling, I guess. And I wasn't even going to say a fling. Fling implies that we were doing something that we shouldn't have, but I don't know. It was just nice. But this next one, holy shitballs, the next one. This almost got me to stop doing online dating. This one almost got me to question if I ever want to be with a woman again. A little dramatic there, but it was a brutal one. And this was maybe a month or so after the Latina one. So, let's just, I'm going to take a hit, take a shot, and just dive right into this bitch. Okay, let's get this over with. This has been on my mind every podcast since I've been starting this Angelo's history of romance or whatever, but this is a doozy one. This is by far the worst relationship I've ever been in. It only lasted a month, but it felt like 10 years. Oh, no, I'll be honest. I don't know if it was a month because the fighting afterwards lasted, I swear to God, longer than the actual relationship. So I'll be honest. In my mind, we were polite and in a decent relationship, maybe 4 weeks. We were either fighting or arguing or texting back and forth when we shouldn't. Not so much me. That, I swear to God, that seemed like an eternity. And to back up even more, I think I was wrong when I was saying in the previous relationship with the Latina that it was only a month. No, we were at least 2 months. I remember that. It was longer than I thought. After I recorded that, took some time off and I kind of thought about it. I was like, no, I was wrong. So the previous relationship was at least a month and a half to 2 months. This one came off maybe a month after that. So I was a busy boy. So, excuse me, I had to take a big rip before I talk about this because it's going to bring back up some PTSD, you know what I'm saying? So we met on the same website and right away, I was kind of in love with this chick. Not love as in like, oh, my one true love. No, nothing like that. None of that Romeo and Juliet shit. I just saw her photo on the app, and then I saw her bio and the about me, and I was just like, this chick is awesome. Just right away. I felt a connection. Maybe that's what I should have said, not love. There was a connection there. And I thought she was good looking. She was as pale as I am. A ginger with sporadic, what do you call them? Not moles, not chicken pox, but the dots all over your face. I'm fucked up. I can't think of words, but they had freckles. Fuck me. She had freckles. She wasn't a skinny girl. She wasn't a big girl. She was kind of just in the middle, which I liked. Her personality on the app was hilarious. She was making me laugh. And she worked as a nurse, or if I remember right, it was the nurse that deals with children and infants and newborns. And yeah, and so I respected her work ethic. I respected her job. I respected her whatever. I just right away. These were all my first intuitions with her, my first reactions to her. She was from Philadelphia. I liked those people, I thought. I liked their sense of humor, their brashness. A lot of my favorite comedians come out of Philadelphia. And I know the reputation that Philadelphians have, but I thought, well, whatever, the stereotype of Seattle is usually wrong. Not always, but usually. It's a cliche. It's a tired one. She was a sports fan. I mean, she was an animal lover. I could keep going down the line. So, I liked her. She liked me a couple hours later when I was ecstatic. I had not been this excited about talking to someone on the app before. And that's my fault. I should not have let my expectations just soar through the roof. I mean, I already put this bitch on a pedestal, and I don't know why. It's just my first reaction to her. And so we started chit-chatting, and she was as cool as the bio. And we met up at a restaurant in Seattle after work, and it was a blast. It was a blast. It was a very nice date. A lot of laughs. She was busting my balls. I love it when women bust my balls. I love it. They can poke fun at me and back it up and whatnot. She got a lot of my references. I could bust her ass a little bit. We talked a lot of football shit. She was a diehard Eagles fan. Obviously, I'm a Seahawks fan. I have no love for the Eagles. I think Philadelphia fans are, well, probably the worst fans in all of sports. Y'all be savages. But I thought that's just sports. That they're not all savages out there. Well, I'll get to that later. So the first date went really well. I walked her to the cab. I hugged her and I said, "Hey, we had a good time, right? Are we gonna do a date number 2?" And she was laughing, of course. And she had such a beautiful smile. And I'm telling you, this girl to me was already perfect. Already perfect. And we started texting all the time, so I knew there was a genuine connection with her. She wasn't just being nice. So then we decided to meet up in Issaquah to go hiking. She had a Australian blue heeler shepherd dog. I love that dog, but that dog never stood still for more than 30 seconds. So we were walking around the trails around Issaquah off of SR 900. I think that's Tiger Mountain, or is that Cougar Mountain? Why are there two mountains together named after giant cats? It's too hard. One should be a dog and one should be a cat. Tiger Mountain, Hyena Mountain. You know what I'm saying? Plenty of options. Why Tiger and Cougar? It's confusing. What's next? Puma Mountain? Fucking Cheetah Mountain? I could keep going. Lion Mountain sounds pretty cool. But anyway. So that was a couple hours. And then I took her out to, I forget the restaurant. It's on SR 900. It used to be Jack's. I don't know what it is anymore. Not Jack's. Not Doofers. It doesn't matter. Fuck it. And it was good, She made fun of me because I ordered a very chocolatey martini because I thought it would be funny, and she made fun of me relentlessly, and I thought it was hilarious and sexy. And after that, she decided to come back to my place with her dog. And with LaFonda and the dog, I was a little nervous, but they were cool. But we weren't really physically doing anything yet. I hadn't kissed her. We haven't held hands. We hadn't done anything besides the hug. The nice to see a hug. But now she's in my house, sitting on the couch with me. But I can't really tell. And she was only at my place for maybe an hour or so before she had to head home. Now, she lived in Fremont. and I lived in Renton. It wasn't a long commute, but it was a bitch. So this is when the first argument came up. She went home. I thought it went great. I was excited to see her date number 3. Now I'm starting to think if there's a third date, I can at least attempt to be a little bit asexual, if you catch my drift. Maybe go for a kiss, go in for a longer hug. I got a game plan. Well, when she got home, she basically was very unhappy that I didn't try to be more forward with her when we were hiking. She thought I was going to hold her hand or something. And it didn't even occur to me. I was taking it very slow with her because, in dates past, and I've covered some of them, I tend to jump into physical stuff too early. They never work out. This girl I really like. I kind of wanted to take it slow. I wanted to take my time. I didn't want to rush something and risk losing something good. And so I told her that, and she let it go. And then she brought up something else, which, again, this to me was so stupid and unimportant. But she kept bringing it up all throughout the relationship and the post-breakup. Well, on that first date, ladies and gentlemen, we split the bill. She made fun of me the first date, and I have later learned that, no, the guy is supposed to pay on the first date. Or just all dates, depending on what gold digger you're talking to. But no, I had a theory back in those days where, I'm not going to go into that theory, but I made her pay for her own shit. And I paid for my own shit. But then I paid for the whole entire thing and hiking. And when we ate after hiking. Sorry, people, I'm a little bit stoned here. That thing got me a little bit more than I thought. So if I'm starting to slur or mumble, deal with it. I'm trying. So she was telling me how she was really upset about it and how I'm cheap. And I'm like, I'm not cheap. I'm not cheap. I don't think any of my friends or family would call me cheap. I may be frugal. In fact, sometimes I spend money too willy-nilly. Do people say willy-nilly? Like, too free willy? Too... Jesus, I'm losing it here. Anyway, and I kept arguing back. No, I'm not cheap at all. I didn't even, I don't really remember the reasons why. I'm sure I had a reason and it pissed her off. And I may have even apologized and that still pissed her off. She was just heated about it. I think in her past, she had a boyfriend that was a sponge and they were again, this was a while ago and I tried blocking it out, but memories are coming back the more I talk about it. I think one of her past relationships, the guy was just a leech and a sponge off of her. She was going to school to be a nurse and she was working and he barely worked, and so money with her was a big deal. She was very nervous and insecure about financials, and I can understand it. But I thought me explaining myself and letting her know why I did what I did, and again, I could have apologized. I know I later did just so I would be done with it, but at that moment, who knows? So she set the expectation that she was not happy with the moving of slowly, but she also didn't tell me she wanted to jump my bones. That's such an old fucking saying for fucking. Anyway, so the third date, I was meeting her in Fremont, and I was going to take her to the zoo, whatever zoo's in Seattle, Woodland Park Zoo, I believe. All day. I took the whole day off work. Sorry, excuse me. I took the whole day off work for this. Went to the zoo. Couple hours, we held hands, we bumped in a little bit, no kissing yet, but we were holding hands and shoulders and everything. So, again, I'm moving slow for a reason. And she seemed to be okay with me telling her that. Like, I was willing to wait a little bit because I want this to work. Like, she seemed genuinely okay with that, enough that it fooled me. Now, deep down, I wanted all the sex immediately. But again, like I've established, hey, I've done that before in past relationships. They haven't worked out. This one feels good. I want to try something new. I want to try maybe not sticking it in after 2 dates, or first dates, God forbid. So that, to me, the zoo and then the lunch afterwards, which I paid for again, was a very, very fun day. And then later that evening, I stayed all day with her. We went back to her place, and we watched, I believe, it wasn't the Seahawk-Eagle game, because that game was coming up. We were already talking mad shit about it, but the game hadn't happened yet. And we watched a football game together on the couch. Again, not, we weren't all handsy and grabby, but, we were touching each other a little bit, but still nothing very crazy. When I'm saying touching each other, I mean hands, feet, shoulders, leaning on each other, she spooning me, But again, no sex. We haven't even kissed yet. Later that evening, we did kiss. We did make out. And I felt like that was good. And so, plus it was late, and I had to go back to work the next day. And it was, 11:30 midnight. And I got up to leave. And then she said, "Oh, you're going to leave me with blue tubes." And I never heard that. Have anyone out there listening to this podcast ever heard of the term blue tubes for women? We all know the term blue balls. For those of you that don't know, it's when a guy gets worked up, he thinks he's about to, and it doesn't happen because something stops him, but his balls are still full of that love juice, and he just has to do something with it, and sometimes they bruise and it hurts very badly, thus the term blue balls. Me being a sexist white man who never thinks of women, apparently, according to this girl, told me that I was giving her blue tubes. And that's the female equivalent of blue balls. And I just laughed. And I had, to speak out at school here, I did have an erection. I'm not going to lie. She could see it. I could see it. It was there. But I also was tired. And I wanted to get home. And, I set the expectation, no, I definitely want to. But it just didn't happen. It's not because I don't want to. It's not because, obviously, I want to. I mean, just, But it just didn't happen. And I did feel sincerely sorry because I could tell she was worked up. I was worked up. But I didn't want to risk it again. I wanted to take things slow. And we had made out that evening. We had talked about having sex. But there wasn't that moment where the emotions were so high we had just, threw everything off the table and went to Pound Town. No, it was never like that. That whole evening there was never a moment like that. So, went home. The next day, she was pissed. Not so much about the no sex, but it was about a joke I said. I don't remember what it was, but this is the first time I remember thinking in the relationship. I've seen her 3 times, and she's gotten mad at me on the phone through text twice already, and it's only been a little over a week. To my face, she's one thing, but through text and phone calls, she's like a monster. I didn't recognize her. And I apologize, people. I don't know what the argument was about the second time, but it made me have doubts. So I told her about how I remember something. I don't even recall. So this is where it gets a little murky because, again, people, I tried blocking a lot of this shit out. I really have. I was seeing some friends on a day, and she wanted to do something that day. And I told her, no, I have plans. Somehow she twisted that into me ignoring the plans she made for her and I, even though she really hadn't done anything. And I reminded her, well, I told you I had something going on with some friends that day. And we agreed that we weren't in a stage where I'm going to show her off to friends. We still have things to work out ourselves. I'm not going to invite her to a party with some people she doesn't know. And so this was a little bit odd to me because I told her this, and yet she was making a point how she took the day off, or she made the evening about me and her, even though she already had known that I had plans previously. So I asked her, did you just assume I would cancel plans for you? Because you can't expect that. And then she got upset that I would even ask that, but I said, well, there's a confusion somewhere. So I said, I apologize, but I told you I had plans. I'm going to go see my friends, and we can talk about this later. I don't know what the mix-up is. So that sent her off in a rage that scared me a little bit because, her voice changed, people. It's like Golem and Smeagol. I was on dates with Smeagol. Smeagol is great. I want to fuck Smeagol. But when Golem shows up, I can't run away fast enough. And her anger was usually just directed at me, of course. But this is when she started attacking all men in the area. comparing me as a systemic issue with all men in the Pacific Northwest. She kept saying, well, I've only dated men from Philadelphia or East Coast, and you guys are just such more passive-aggressive pussies. And I'm not going to argue that. We kind of are. But she kept grouping me in with, like, the worst stereotype cliches of Seattle hipsters. I'm like, are you kidding me? Am I a Seattle hipster? You're going to be out of your mind. So, and I said, I don't attack you as reminiscent of all people from Philadelphia. Come on, that's unfair. And so, and this is at the same time where I'm trying really hard to not be a judgmental person, to trying to be more empathetic and compassionate, and not care so much about things that I don't think deserve arguing or debating. Younger Angelo would die on any hill he wanted to if it would prove that he was right in something, And that's not me now, nor was it me then. So I think me not arguing much with her about things she brought up pissed her off to a higher level. She wanted a guy that wanted to argue back. And a few times I did. And I would never say, you're right, I'm wrong, if I wasn't wrong. But there was times where she wanted me to apologize for something and I couldn't remember what she was talking about. Or I thought about it and I said, yeah, I guess I could see how she could see that. Okay. I had no problem with that. Whereas younger Angelo would have, maybe mumbled an apology and changed the subject. So we didn't see each other for about 3 or 4 days. And then she basically apologized for how she was treating me and wanted to know if I wanted to come out with her and her friends. Now, we had talked a couple days prior how we weren't in that point in the relationship. We haven't even called ourselves boyfriend, girlfriend, nothing. There's been no labeling whatsoever. And it was a big deal when I went with my friends and we talked about how maybe not a good time to meet friends. But only a couple days later, we hadn't seen each other since then. She wanted me to meet her friends. I thought it was odd. I brought it up. Ultimately, I didn't care. I wanted to see her, and I'm good with people. So, a couple days later, I went out with her, met her and her friends. I could tell that she told them a lot about me. A couple of the dudes were cool. One dude got so drunk, and he was saying some wild shit to me and to this girl I'm seeing and the girl he's with about how we haven't fucked yet and blah, 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 blah. He was a real piece of shit. He was cool when he was sober, but when he got drunk, it was a pile of garbage. And I just kept making fun of him because I don't care. But I could tell it was bothering his girlfriend, and ultimately they were only dating for like a month, and then she kicked him to the curb a couple days later. I don't blame her. So, but again, it was the constant like joking about no sex, which means she had told all her friends that maybe I don't want to have sex with her, which is insane. She never believed me. She had these insecurities, and when I would tell her the truth over and over and over again, and I would even try telling it in a different way so she could try to understand, or I would prove it to her that I'm telling her the truth. She never believed certain things I was telling her because she was so insecure about things. Financials, sex, labels, I could go down the list. So later that evening, we met to her place, and we sealed the deal. And I'm not gonna lie, it was all right. She was very alpha, I'll put it that way, which I had never experienced before. I have yet to experience it again. But I thought that was cool. She thought it was cool. I stayed the night. We spent most of the next day together. And I thought it was good. And then when I was heading home in the afternoon, following the previous night, I made a joke that, I guess we're what? Boyfriend, girlfriend? And I said it like that. I said it in a way that was obviously a joke. Obviously it was. I could not have made it more clear in my tone of voice. I put my shoulders up, and she laughed and said, "What? No." And I was like, okay. Ha ha ha. And that was it. My phone was about to die, so my phone died on the way home, and I had to stop at my old man's house, so I didn't have my phone charged all day. Boy, oh boy. It was a Sunday, because when I went home and charged my phone, I had 10 or 15, or I don't know, I had a lot of missed calls, texts from her. Oh, it was like Mount Vesuvius went off again. And people, to boil it all down, because this basically ruined the rest of my Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Because it was non-stop verbal barrage of anger and venom directed towards me from her about that joke. And no matter how many times I told her it was a joke, how many times I told her I was kidding, and I described how I shrugged my shoulders and cocked my head and made squinty eyes. I was like, so boyfriend, girlfriend? Because that's how we joked, I thought. And again, she didn't say anything when I said it. She just laughed and said no. And the no she told me wasn't in a tone, a voice that made me think, oh shit, I pinched a nerve here. So I ended it. We ended it that night. I couldn't. She was saying some horrible things about me, just insulting me. And as she was really verbally abusing me and cursing me out, things I've never really heard from a woman or anybody before. And again, some things I push back on, but some of the things I was just like, I don't know where you're getting this from. What do you think happened? I was there too, I'm a pretty open-minded guy. If I fucked up, I'll tell you I fucked up. Well, she concluded that I was a narcissistic, cheap, cocky asshole who leads her on and plays to her emotions and brings up bad memories on purpose and all these things. And I was really hurt that she was saying that I was doing these things. I'm like, no. When you bring up this is what I was doing. Like, come on. And people, like I've already said, if she accused me of something and I thought about it and I could say to myself, well, I didn't mean it like that, but I could see how she could, I would say, yeah, well, okay, that I understand. Okay. I can understand how you could hear that. And that wasn't my intention, but I do apologize for that. I have empathy. So I didn't talk to her for a couple days. Thought it was over, but I was exhausted. I mean, I really, really, really liked her, guys. I really did. And I let myself kind of imagine a future with her too quickly. I put her on a pedestal immediately, and that was wrong. That was wrong and immature of me. And so a couple days later, I got a phone call from her. A little bit more of an argument because she just would not let things go. With me, if we have a bad breakup, I'm not going to talk to you again. Why would I? We said we had to say we're done. We broke up on Sunday evening. She was sending me awful texts and awful voicemails Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday morning. So Wednesday evening, she apologized for the previous 4 days. And I'm like, this girl is... Something's up. Something's up. But I was weak, and I gave her another chance. I thought, okay, maybe I need to look at how I've treated her in a different angle. I tried meeting her halfway. I really did. Because if I'm fucking somebody up, I want to stop. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, I'm a lover, not a hater, And so I previously bought tickets to a stand-up comedy show. Christina Prusinski, the second half of Your Mom's House podcast. Check it out. Her and her husband, Tom Segura, have one of the best podcasts out there. Anyway, so we kind of agreed on a fresh slate. Start over. Just start over. We met before the comedy show a day before just to kind of see each other, have dinner. It was nice. The next day, guys, I went all out because the previous night went well. We didn't argue. She apologized. I apologized for things. We genuinely seemed like we were trying something new. We had a little Sizex. And, things were looking good. So the next day, I dressed up. I bought her flowers. I bought Uber for both of us. I made reservations at a restaurant across the street from the venue. I bought drink tickets for the venue. I mean, again, money's not that important to me when I'm happy with someone like this. It was a lot of money, though. Because she kept accusing me of being cheap, even though I was consistently paying for everything minus the first date. So I think she said that to piss me off so that I would, get angry. I think she got off in making people angry. I later found out, even though it was very obvious from the get-go, really. So I show up to her place, and she looks miserable. Just looks upset and angry. She's not ready to go. She's still in a bath towel, got out of the shower. I'm excited. I give her the flowers. She looks at them with disdain. And she says, oh, I don't have anything to put these in. And I said, oh, that's your first instinct? Okay. I mean, do you have a vase or a glass or something? And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, okay, let me just... So already I'm upset. Already I'm aggravated. Already I'm like, what is this? Come on, even if you don't like flowers, you can at least pretend. And she did like flowers. She had plants all over the place, and we would talk about it. So I said, okay, I'll take care of them. Go finish up in the bathroom. So I took care of the flowers. I got her. I'm playing with her dog and everything. She also had a big fat cat that I liked, so... But she was very cold to me, and I don't know why. So I said, whatever. Told her about the evening. Got an Uber. Went to the restaurant. I thought we were having a good time, but again, I could tell she was just a bit off. She was a little bit sarcastic, and I just asked her at dinner, is everything okay? Yeah, things are fine. Okay. I'm like, okay. We walk across the street to the venue. We get a couple drinks in us. Now, the audience of the show, very friendly. See, Your Mom's House viewers are very fun-loving bunch. I saw the other half, Tom Segura, and you just make friends instantly with strangers. Same thing at Christina Pazzinski's stand-up show. I was making friends. Everyone was laughing at each other, bringing up the podcast inside jokes, saying one-liners. It was fun. But, I never ignored her. She was always with me the whole time, and she was very nice and, whatever. So we get up to the venue, and we're sitting, and she is dead quiet. She's not saying anything, and I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. So I say, okay, well, the show's starting. Fuck it. So first act comes up. Pretty funny. She's not laughing. Second act comes up. She laughed once or twice, but it was damn funny. So now, I'm like, okay, she's at a comedy show and she's not enjoying it. So I kind of asked her before the headliner came out if she was enjoying herself. She said, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I was like, okay. Christina Pazzinski comes up halfway through the set. This girl gets my attention and says, I'm going to use the bathroom really quick. She gets up and she goes to the bathroom. Well, enough time went by when I'm like, man, she must really be having a deuce in there, And I looked at my phone and I had a text from her. And I was like, oh, shit. So I looked and and it said that she left. She wasn't feeling good. And I'm like, oh, shit. Maybe she got food poisoning. Maybe something's wrong. So I text her, you okay? Do you want me to go? No, I'm fine. You stay there. And that's when I was like, okay, if you're really feeling sick and you're blaming dinner, but you don't want me to take care of you or be with you, that's weird. So I said, hold on a minute. And so I leave, and, I didn't have a corner seat. I was right in the middle of the aisle. That was a lot of, ass in people's faces trying to get out of those rows. So I go, and she's gone. She never used the bathroom. She just got up and left. It was crazy. So I tried calling her. She's not answering the phone. I'm like, what? So I'm texting her. I'm trying to call her. I'm like, what is going on? Are you okay? I'm thinking the worst. Like, maybe she's so ill that she's, shitting and vomiting in the street somewhere. But then I'm also angry thinking if she's lying, this is fucking crazy. So I just text her, okay, I'm heading back to your place. I get a lift, go back to her place. I'm worried about her. I don't know what's going on, but I'm also angry if she's full of shit. I get to her apartment, and she's standing out in front of the apartment building with a bag full of all of my things that I left there, like clothes and bathroom things. And this is what I'm thinking, okay, she's insane. She's clinically insane. I woke up to her and I'm like, is everything okay? What's going on? She's like, yeah, I just need you to leave. I don't want you here tonight. Here's your stuff. And I'm, dumbfounded. I'm speechless. For once, Angelo Grosso is speechless. And she won't tell me what's wrong. And so then I just get so angry. I'm like, okay, I remember why, because I had to take a piss. And she would not let me upstairs to use the bathroom. And that's when I'm done. Like, that's like pettiness at a level that's like almost Trumpian, So I said, fuck it. So I took a piss right on her building, right in front of her. Got my shit, got my car, drove home. She tried calling me. I ignored the phone. She tried texting me. I turned it all off. I said, I'm done. I'm just done. So then that was truly the ending of the relationship. But the weeks that followed, she would text me crazy things. The accusations she would throw at me that I was breaking into her phone and reading her messages, which I can barely remember my cell phone. PIN number? No, I don't break into people's cell phones. She was saying I was looking over her shoulder at a text she was sending her sister. And I said, you mean the text you wanted me to look at? You were telling me something, so I was looking over your shoulder to make sure that you were spelling something right or whatever. Like, you told me to look at it. And so she just was, like, turning things. Like, she wanted to fight. I'm telling you guys, I think she got off. Mentally and physically, maybe a little sexually off the drama and the fighting. And I wouldn't give her that. After the concert, I was done. And so I wouldn't argue back, which infuriated her. I would just say, Oh, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, you're right. I am that. Oh, yeah. Yep, my parents are that too. Uh-huh. Oh, you're right. Yep, I'm probably going to die alone. You got it. Man, you were so spot on with these observations. Because I just didn't care anymore. And I stopped answering the phone and the text, but she just would not stop. And then she would apologize. I want to get back together. And I would always say, no, stop texting me. Stop. And guys, I mean, during the Apple Cup 2 years ago, I was at my buddy's house in Issaquah. Not good reception. Me and this Philly girl had been done. But my fault in hindsight was answering the texts every now and then because she would ask me questions. I would never answer them if they were accusations, anger, anything that was negative. I wouldn't answer. But if she said, well, did I do this or did you do that? You know, when it was an honest question, I didn't have a problem answering. Now, looking back, I can see that that's what she would do. She would be genuinely nice to reel you in, and then once she hooked you, you were hers to be beaten up with. So at that Apple Cup, a bad reception. Went to the bathroom where somehow randomly there was better reception in one of the bathrooms, and I saw that she had texted me like 5 things in about 3 hours, and the spectrum of emotion started with, hey, how are you doing today? I'm having a really tough day at work. I could really use someone to talk to. This day is really awful. Please, I really need a friend. Fuck you. You're ignoring me. This is why your relationship didn't work. You're a piece of shit. I hope it's the final one too. I'm so sorry. It's just stressful. I'm just angry that you're ignoring me. And that's when I realized I'm not going to do this anymore. So I texted her back saying, this is the last text I'm sending you. I'm not ignoring you. I'm with friends. I told you that. But this is crazy. I'm blocking you and deleting your number. Did that. I forgot to do it on social media. She went off the rails on that. And so I had to block her and everything. And that was it. We had to literally block, or I had to block her. She blocked me on Instagram, and then unblocked me, so then I blocked her back. So honestly, people, that one killed me. That one got me off dating apps for a couple months. I'm not going to lie. That one exhausted me. It kind of made me rethink how first impressions and second and third and fourth impressions, and how you can really, it's hard to trust. It's hard to have faith in what people are telling you online. So, that was awful. That was the first breakup where I genuinely thought, shit, she may show up to my house with a fucking knife and stab me or something, or a gun or some shit. Like, she was clinically insane. I mean, I wish her all the luck. It wasn't, and that's what I told her. I said, it just didn't work out with you and I. You need a different kind of person. And God, the insults she would say to me about, oh, you're a stereotypical Seattle guy, and she would just, oh, you're a metrosexual fucking sarcastic, narcissistic, dry. I mean, she would just go off. So she has ruined the entire state of Philadelphia. Or the state. She has ruined the entire city of Philadelphia for me. I will always root against the sport teams. Whenever something bad happens in Philadelphia, I'm like, fuck yeah. I hope Benjamin Franklin's fucking bell breaks. I don't know what else Philadelphia is known for. Dude, the Eagles. Well, I hope Carson Wentz breaks his Achilles. And that was a killer one, guys. That one really, really was awful. But on the bright side, I felt good that I could read that early on, and I was happy that I held to my guns and I didn't give her a second chance, or give her a third chance. I did give her a second chance, the comedy show and whatnot, but she wanted to, people. She wanted to get back together with me bad. And I said I was never sure more than anything in my life that no. She needs psychological help. She needs medication. She needs a guy who gets off on arguing as much as she does. Or she needs to figure out why she gets worked up with arguing and fighting. So, anyway, in closing with her, I generally do wish her luck. I highly doubt she'll ever listen to this, but if you are listening, I hope you're doing well. I hope you got some help. And I hope the future's better for you. But you and I just didn't work. You learned from it. I know I did, and I hope you did too. But so peace out, baby. You're crazy. Oh man, that was a walk down memory lane that I never want to do again. So yeah, let's close out this mofo, shall we? So yeah, that was one exhausting memory roundup, baby. Next episode will be more fun. I'm going to cover Rebecca 2.0 and where I'm at now. And yeah, that's going to be much more uplifting and happy and positive. So, hope you all are doing good. For those of you that don't wear masks, thank you. We've had the quarantine extended. So, kudos to you and your loved ones. And yeah, everyone take it sleazy, and I'll see you around. Go Hawks!